Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions you're asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records of cash. We laughing, we drafting the passion through various. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Consciousness is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magicless, passing it. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers? What? All the answers.
All right, I have good theater news.
Okay, I would like to hear your good theater news.
Okay, and possibly good, and you have good theater news to tell the people. Did we tell the people already?
I feel like we did.
February, March?
Yeah, I think we did.
We did. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, it's cool theater news, but it's also related to human design, so I feel like it's justifiably talk-aboutable.
Perfect.
Look at that. What?
I have a mystery mug. What? It's not there. It's there. It's boom. Magic. It's great to do visual references when we're doing
on
audio
a podcast.
Podcasts.
Very helpful for the people. Saw last night.
Yeah.
Went and saw a show at Capitol Stage called Archduke.
Yeah.
I do recommend it.
I saw the play when it first came out at TheaterWorks. I really liked the play. It's a good play.
And he was in that too, wasn't he?
He was in that version of it as well.
Yeah, he's kind of perfect for that role.
Yeah.
My God. That's a man, we should have him on sometime. There's a man who has the kind of charisma that as a human female that dates men, it's like, oh God. And then it's like, walk away.
Yeah, because he's so fucking intense. There's no shame and there's no judgment in that. Dude is intense. I don't think he'd argue with us on that statement.
Also, like the vibe I get, and I don't know if we can have him on anymore after I say this. We've
already said his name, so.
Well, let's bleep it out. We'll bleep it out.
All right, go back and bleep out that person's name.
Please, sir. Please, kind Desmond. Well, it's the kind of, I have enough experience in my life to know the kind of attraction that is fatal. It's the kind of attraction where you're like, that was a fun evening, but if it goes past an evening, you got a problem in your life now.
I might get in a motorcycle accident later.
Oh, yeah, or just you're going to be on a ride.
Yeah.
Like an emotional ride. You got to be ready to hang on to the back of his leather jacket.
Yeah.
Because you're going to go fast.
Yeah.
And you might fall down and scrape your face on the freeway, metaphorically.
I just ran into him recently at the audition for the show that you were just referencing that I am going to be doing in February. He and I were both auditioning for the same role. And that's definitely if you want that, you get that. If you want that, you get that.
Right.
It's kind of nice to have those people where you're like, oh, you wanted.
I see.
It's kind of what Michael Ray is, our guest today, me and he. It's amazing that we got to be in a play together because, it's there's rarely that you're going to get two middle-aged white guys in a show around here nowadays.
I would say, though, you guys are decidedly different types.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Though we're often up for the same roles, it's like, okay, if I want a Michael Ray, do I want a Cassidy?
Yeah.
For that role.
Yeah. And I can tell you exactly which ones he's going to get and which ones you're going to get.
Yeah. There's one that I'm surprised I got over him, which was this play called Safe House, where I played the sheriff or the deputy. And, like he's the ultimate sheriff, old West sheriff deputy type.
Okay. It depends on the kind of Old West sheriff. Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't think I was. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that when he comes on, but.
That's fun. So the good news is, and this is all human design. So human design, it's the human designiest human design moment of all moments.
Prove it.
For me. So I had a total emotional authority clarity moment. So I think I've talked about on here how I was struggling with, I just wasn't doing anything. I was like, I'm like the dewy lady. I do things, and I just wasn't doing anything about this project in Danville. I had gotten the venue and we talked on here about how I was wanting to do 2 plays. And then I was like, is this crazy? Every actor that comes on the show. And I'm asking you and Rami, is it crazy, this idea? Which, by the way, if you're asking people that many times if something is crazy, it
probably is
fucking crazy. So it was crazy. But see, that is so emotional authority. In other words, I was at the height of the wave with that idea. right? I was like so excited. We're going to 2 shows and then they're juxtaposed against each other, the height of the wave. It's the best idea. Then I was way down at the bottom of the wave going, that is way too much work. I do not have the energy for that. And then I was like kind of up on the wave. Yeah, but that's what I care about. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I want to do. So I decided, okay, that's what I'm doing. And then I couldn't do anything. My body was like, I can't even start. I can't like overwhelmed, and just like something in me was just like, no, like the way I would frame it human design wise is I didn't have the energy for it. I was aware, this is for all my emotional authority peeps out there. I was aware I could have pushed myself through it. I could have been like, just do it. But it would have been dragging myself through it, which for generators, we are never, ever supposed to do. You're never supposed to drag yourself forcibly through something you don't actually have energy for in your body, ever. So, which is very, like, that's a real deconditioning point, right? Because so many of us in this world, we drag ourselves through so many things. Anyway.
It's very anti-capitalist of you.
Exactly. And anti-patriarchy.
Yeah.
Patriarchy says, push harder, go, never rest, femininity, bad, do more, right?
Yeah.
So, and because patriarchy and capitalism are like best friends, hooray. So I just didn't push myself, watching this happen, going like, well, you're going to have to start fundraising soon. This shit is happening. Then yesterday I'm driving to see the play in Sacramento. And I went, wait a minute. What if I just do one play I really like, and we do it with a local playwright who we need to have on the podcast, Peter Noctrabe. And then he's connected. And then I get my friends to do what all of a sudden it was like, yeah, that's what we're doing. Now, what I want people to hear who have emotional authority, it's like, I'm not the most thrilled about it, but I am not at the bottom of the wave. I'm at a middle place of clarity, which feels like, yeah, we're doing that. Now, people with emotional authority don't like hearing that or learning that. Remember, so emotional authority goes, I'm uber excited, but later I may not have energy to sustain this. Or I'm under excited, and therefore I definitely won't have energy to sustain it. Or you wait through up, down, that goes back and forth a bunch of times. And then you land on this. Yeah, if I do that, I want it. I like it. I have energy for it. I can sustain it. Let's go. So it's sort of the opposite of what gets taught in a lot of coaching programs, which really pisses me off about coaching. Coaches are trained to teach people never go forward with something until it's a hell yes. And I'm like, okay, except unless you have fucking emotional authority or sacral knowing or the nun authority or the lunar cycle authority. So no, coaches, it's not going to be always a hell yes. It depends on your design. Hallelujah. I just wanted to share it because I find it so dialed in, specific, and useful. And I just lived it. I've been like for months going, why can't I? Why am I not? And then it was like, okay, I just don't have energy for it. And I know it'll click in when it's correct. And then it was correct.
And then you came up with an idea and it wasn't super exciting, but it was like, yeah, that sounds right.
Well, it was like, it is super exciting, but it's hard to describe, like on a manageable level of excitement. It's like when I moved into the condo I moved into, there was the real uber schwanky one I could have gotten, but my energy was like, I don't want to spend that much money. And then I found a slightly less schwanky, but still pretty schwanky. And I was like, yes. But it wasn't, I did lose a thing. It wasn't like the perfect one in my mind's idea of what's perfect, but it was the thing I have energy for. I was like, I have energy to pay X amount in rent. I don't have energy to pay Y amount energy in rent, Y number of rent. This is the same. This is like, I do have energy to produce one play I'm excited about. I don't have energy to produce 2 plays I'm terrified of. Anyway, I'm just trying to help people understand emotional authority a bit because it's such a not the way we're taught to make decisions. If you're deconditioning out there and learning about your human design, just giving a little tips about how the flavor of that tends to go. And I'll tell you this, a little shout out to Danielle Levin, who had said to me back when I started talking to her about this, she was like, what if you just did one play? And what if it was the Noctree play that you like? That sounds manageable. She has sacral authority, which is or that's it. It's a yes, it's a no, or it's a I don't know yet. And I was like, no, that's not what I want. And then I came back to it and I was like, I think Danielle's right. And then I told her about it and she was like, yeah, you got to come to it on your own. And I was like, that's exactly right. So emotional authority people, there's no there's nothing wrong with the fact that you have to go on a ride about it. There's information for you. See, it's like it gave me a lot of information about going forward, about what I want my season to be, about what do I actually have energy for, about all my other projects I'm doing. It was very useful for me to think I was going to do this other thing and get the information that's available at the height of the wave and the base of the wave. But don't miss the information that's being offered on both ends, because it's when you synthesize the two that you get the clarity, which is peaceful, manageable, and not overwhelming. Okay, so there's that. And I'm excited about the show. And I already have spoken with Peter Noctree. See, now what's happening is I have sacral definition too, not sacral authority, sacral definition. So my sacral energy is like gone to work. I'm just watching myself all day today. Emailed Peter. We have a coffee time. Talked with Danielle. Messaged the theater. Was like, can we do a fundraiser? Like, it's happening now.
But are you going to be in it then?
No. Now I'm like, yeah, I'm directing it. But now I'm like,
you're directing it. Right.
Such a good role. The question is, do I have energy for that? And I think I don't. I think I need to, and I'd be very happy to, it'll be comedically satisfying for me enough to help an actor nail those moments, because I know that rhythm so well. So why don't you bail on the show you're doing, come do Totalitarians, but let's see, Ben or the other guy? Doctor?
Play the husband again.
The doctor, right? Not the kid, not the young guy.
Yeah, the guy who's the doctor, not the young guy. But the doctor is also the husband of the speechwriter or the campaign manager, right? So you do have to go. You're going to have to go get that equity situation figured.
I think so. Yeah. Unless not. We'll see what happens. Yeah. That's the fun thing here. Oh, and the play was great. Archduke.
Cool.
Just in brief, I want to let you talk, but it's
great.
Boy, that's a layered piece of theater. It's funny, dark comedy about. Do you remember the play very well?
Yeah, it's about the kill. It's sort of about the killing of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, which started World War I.
But the whole thing is about the war captain guy who manipulates these three dudes who are dying of tuberculosis or who have tuberculosis. He manipulates them basically into killing. Into
murdering themselves to this cause.
And I'll say this one thing about it. There was the play was, do you remember this fact that the characters are poor and have tuberculosis and have never seen outside their small, tiny town? And this colonel guy gives them a train ride to the other town to murder the Ferdinand. But the train ride is the most fancy, incredible thing any of them have ever seen. And so they spend the whole time talking about the sandwiches they're eating on the train ride and the sandwiches they're going to get in Sarajevo when they get there to kill this guy. And I realized halfway through the play, I'm like, because there's one scene, John Lamb plays one of the doofy guys who is going to be the murderer. He has this whole monologue about, I'm imagining myself there on the pretty street getting a sandwich and sitting in the sun, and I'm enjoying my sandwich. And I have a sandwich, and it's all mine, the sandwich, and the sun is nice, and the street is pretty, and like, sure, these people are going to die, but I've got my sandwich. And I was like, this play is about what we're all doing right now, about every war happening on Earth. It's like what we do. We get caught up in, well, here I am with my lovely view of the bay, and I'm talking to my friend Cassidy, and I've got my tea, and I'm comfortable. So I don't want to get upset about the war in Israel.
Right.
And it's what we do to survive. It's like you kind of have to do that to get through a day.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're all collapsed in, I don't even know what. But the play is really commenting on like that.
Yeah.
Sure, there's a war in Sarajevo, but I have my sandwich on the Rue Saint Michel or whatever.
Yeah, I don't remember enough of it to like remember those details, but now I do.
Yeah, anyway, I just thought it was like, oh, and he's here. We'll let him sit for 5 minutes because he's early. Do you want to text him and tell him, or do you care?
Yeah, I'll just hit him.
Okay, so really great writing.
We'll let you in 5 minutes. That was me doing voice to text, and now you all heard me do voice to text. Wouldn't that be funny if I hadn't sent it and it was saying that? You all just heard me do voice to text and it typed that out. We caught in a loop.
Meta. How are you? What's happening with you?
I'm good. Today is a physical labor day. I put on a nice shirt just for the podcast, but we're doing a big bulky pickup day. So we're just hauling shit out and I'm all sweaty and gross and like moving shit around. Took a little break to do the podcast. And then
wait, what are you talking about? At home or for Feet First?
No, at home. Just just a big dump run, basically.
Oh, wow.
You know, I live in this big house with a lot of people, and a lot of people come through and like live here for a little while, and they always leave shit behind, and then it just gets, and then our basement gets fuller and fuller of just random like old bookcases and fucking mattress or whatever. And
you should ask your stager friend if she needs those items.
oh, you don't want any of these. None of these are worth your staging.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I would 100% let you have your pickings, but these are not those things.
I gotcha. Okay.
No, these are old and moldy. And
where's
what?
the dump? Where is it?
There's one in Berkeley near, the closest one to you is in Berkeley, just off the freeway, sort of near, I think, like the Ashby exit. And I think there's one somewhere else, like more in another Alameda County one. Yeah.
I just didn't know how far. I've had need of a dump a couple times, and then I've been like, I don't have energy to look for the dump. But now that I know there's one in Berkeley.
Yeah, it's very close to you.
That's great. Okay. And so how's that all going?
That's fine. It's pretty chill, pretty low key. We're going to work on it after that we're done. Nothing interesting to report about that. I don't know what's going on. Just I started memorizing my lines for the play that I'm understudying.
Oh, right. And that's
kind of sucks. Just to be frank, just blank blank memorizing is so just like,
so hard.
You just kind of stare at the lines and just like work them, and then set it aside and come back to it. Then do 5 more pages. And I agreed to do the lead and another role, and that's a lot.
Wow.
So I'm wondering what the hell was wrong with me. But I'm just going to work at it.
One day at a time.
And probably never go on. Yeah.
But you might.
But I might.
What's her name? Louisa just went on at Berkeley.
And
Rep.
she knew she was going on from the very beginning, because that was her actor had a wedding. And so she was hired with that understanding. The other actor, though, I think one of the lead actors went out because there was a long-term understudy going on. She's been going on for a week or so. So she may have gotten sick. So, yeah, I mean, it happens. It's very possible it'll happen. And part of me is like, I don't want it to happen. And part of me is like, that'd be fun. I don't know. I'm going to wait. Not going to worry about it.
Wow.
Just going to work on it.
This is exciting. And what's the show again? Are you allowed to say?
That's 1984.
Right, at the Aurora. Okay.
At the Aurora. And I'm understudying Winston, who is the main character and also one of the Inquisitors type of thing.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good show. It's dark. It's weird that it's a sort of holiday show because it is fucking bleak.
Oh,
I don't know if you remember reading 1984 when you were younger, but it is.
Yep, it's not great.
It's not great. It's not a great time. But it's interesting because Michael Gene Sullivan, the playwright.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's a lot of 3 named Michaels in Bay Area theater.
So true.
There's Michael Gene Sullivan, Michael Ray Wisely, Michael Barrett Austin. There's Michael Patrick Wiles.
Jesus.
Although he doesn't really go by Patrick. He just goes, maybe I've got his. No, but there's at least one other that I'm not thinking of. There is a bunch of 3 named Michaels in Bay Area theater.
Billy Ray Cyrus, Sarah Michelle Gellar. They all live right here in the Bay Area.
And they're all actually named Michael. It's Michael Ray Cyrus. Oh, wow. It is Michael Ray Wisely.
Michael Ray Gellar.
And he goes by Michael Ray, by the way, when he comes on, which we'll let him on in just a second here.
Let's do it.
He's Michael Ray. It's always Michael Ray.
Michael Ray.
Yeah, that's it. Good show, fun times. It's going to be great. Oh, what I was going to say, just about him writing the play. He wrote it like he did an adaptation. It is a significant adaptation. It is not just like, here's the book and we're putting it on with words. Yeah. It's kind of reframed as like almost told in flashback form because he's being interrogated from the very beginning, which is not how it goes in the book. But you know, he wrote it. He's sort of the main writer for the San Francisco Mime Troupe. So he's a, radical socialist, fucking hardcore political writer and creative. And he wrote this play. He did this adaptation, 15 years ago at a different time. And it felt awkwardly, awfully relevant then when he was like, we need to be telling this story now. And it just feels more relevant now. It's one of those plays where you're just like, oh yeah, this is happening quite more literally.
That's how I feel about Archduke. Like when it happened in 2019, it was relevant. Now it's relevant. It's just relevant.
That play I did, the the one I did a few months ago, the Tea Party. When he wrote it, people were like, "That's ridiculous. That's not happening. You're projecting." And so he couldn't get it produced. And then when he did it now, it was just like, oh, that is a possible future 5 years from now.
Yeah. Let's let him in, shall we?
I love playwrights. They're good. They're smart.
Playwrights
They're smart people.
Fucking the best. Or if you look at like Blade Runner, like film writers, they know shit too.
Oh God, the shit that happens. You ever look at a sci-fi timeline where they like put the date of when that supposed movie took place? And we've passed most of them. Like a lot of, like 1984 would be a good example of like, we didn't get to that place. It still feels like sci-fi and ahead of us. But in 1984, it was supposed to look like this. And 2001: A Space Odyssey was supposed to be, there. Back to the Future 2, when they went into the future, it was supposed to be in 1996 or whatever. There's all these benchmarks of when things may or may not have happened. It's just kind of fun to look at.
That is fun. Okay.
All right, let's let this guy in.
Oh, it's me. I was like, go ahead, let him in.
No, you. I'll let you. Let's see if he's actually there. He may have walked away.
No, he's there.
What's up, y'all? It's Rami. Been falling off. I'm in Kentucky right now. Anyway, I was just thinking about my cousin. And so I don't have that much blood family. I am an only child. My father was an only child. My mother had one brother. In addition to that, there was a lot of just like general leaving of the places people were from, leaving behind people that they might have been blood related to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So like, but I got lots of chosen family, as anyone who listens to this podcast probably realizes. Anyway, I was thinking about my cousin. So my only uncle had 2 kids, and they are grown, like me. So I have 2 first cousins. But was it a couple of years ago? I was found, thanks to Ancestry.com, by another cousin, first cousin. My uncle actually had another child when he was younger in college. And she was adopted. And her parents both passed away, and her mother's dying wish was find your blood family. And she got to it and found us, some of us, on Ancestry.com and 23andMe. Sadly, my uncle had recently passed away, so she did not get to meet her father, but she got to meet me and her half siblings. And she is a kick. She is just fucking delightful. Oh my God. And it's, not having much blood family means I don't have that many people I can look in the face of and say, oh, I see features that I recognize. Oh, I see this gesture and I recognize that gesture, that kind of thing. So here's this person who was adopted and never knew, her blood father or any of us. But here she is, just a couple wild, wonderful examples. My uncle was a ham radio operator. He was really into it. And he always wanted one of his kids to follow in his footsteps and become a ham radio operator, and neither of them did. Well, of course, this new cousin I found is a ham radio operator. Another thing that's the same about the 2 of them is that my uncle would, his happy place was camping, just sleeping out under the stars, no tent, even if it was raining, even if it was cold. He just would just be like, exposed in a sleeping bag under the stars. And that is also what my cousin prides herself in, like down to some very cold degrees. She will not even bother to pitch a tent. And she's just a kick. They could have laughed and joked together. So I'm sorry that they didn't get to meet. And the other genes in her look very different than my family do. Her coloring is very different. There's lots of things that are very different about her, but I can still look in her face and a little bit see my mom. And, that's a pretty special experience. Rami's rules.
No, he's there.
I'm here.
Turn on your camera, baby. Let us see a beautiful face.
I had no idea that we were going to be on camera.
Oh, you look great. You look great. Yeah, we like to talk to each other.
Hello. How's it going?
Oh my gracious!
Hello. God, I mean,
It's been a long time, Katie.
when have we ever even been in a room at the same time? Have we?
Yeah, I believe we were in the same room together. You were either at a show of mine or you just happened to be in the building at the Aurora one time, and we met each other. And I was like, I want to know. I think I actually said that to you. I think I went up to you and I went, I want to know you.
I'm honored retrospectively.
I swear to God. Yeah. See, what an amazing impression I had on you.
Oh no, that's terrible. Oh my God, I'm a nightmare. Oh my God, I'm so flattered and honored. I feel like a douche. How did I miss that moment?
Okay, because you're wild. That's why.
Wild.
Well, you saw Michael Ray recently, but then you took off as soon as the show was over, so you didn't get to
I did.
say hi.
It's because you have no value and you don't matter as a person. No, it's because
That's exactly how I took it.
I hope so. It's because I have such a hard time with that after show chit chat. Everybody coming out of the thing. Oh my God, you were amazing. I don't like it.
I totally get it. Unfortunately, it's a part of our distance, and if you're not there whenever a colleague or very close friend colleague comes out, it's so funny. Cass and I were talking about it. Sometimes whenever people meet you after the show, one of the first things out of your mouth, if they're really close to, is you start apologizing.
Hey, thanks for coming. That was a weird one.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I hope it was. I think it was okay. I don't know. You don't have to. Never mind.
Yeah, the sound was off and we missed our third cue, but you was fine. You didn't see that, right? You didn't even notice, right?
Katie.
Yeah. Endless. Hey, great job.
Tell the truth, though.
No. Excellent job. I loved Cymbeline, which I like to call Cymbeline, but sure, Cymbeline. I loved it. You guys were so great. It was such an interesting, I've said all this gushing to Cass already, but what an interesting production. What a cool way to handle creative problems where everything's just transparent and happening in front of you, like old school, original theater times, and then the pulleys and the dancing, and you guys with your insane flower jackets being these 60s sexy guys. So good. Oh, so good. You were great. Everybody was great. It was just such a solid production.
We fell in love with each other during that production. I think I was listening to, by the way, your podcast and almost missed our meeting here today because I was listening to Space Condoms, the one right before. I got to listen to Space Condoms now, but Cassidy was talking about how we all bought in and we're all in love. And you went down the list, Katie, of all the things that were working because of cooperation, openness. And so whenever Cassidy started talking about it, I had no idea about your podcast. But whenever Cassidy started talking about it, and then he goes, Katie, she's all woo woo. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm all woo woo.
You are?
Let's go.
Tell us.
That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for.
We can get in deep. Okay, so history of woo woo of Michael Ray Wisely. So I denounced Christianity when I was 11 years old. I was living in a very uber Christian environment, but not like crazy. My mom was a third wave feminist, as it turned out, and second wave feminist. 1970s, 1973-ish, and but we were going to this church. I guess it was First Christian denomination. I don't know. It was some bastardization of Presbyterian, probably. And I just remember being there, and I was almost about I'd had this incredibly deep dream at when I was 11 years old about it was this unbelievable, it's still one of the most real dreams I've ever had, where I'm on the ground in a place like Jerusalem, which my 11-year-old mind imagined was Jerusalem. where it's just these rolling sand dunes, and then there's a god, how the god light happens with the clouds and the rays shooting through, and climbing these rays were all these people from all walks of life, from all different eras of time. And some of them in swaddling clothes, and riding camels, and others just like meandering through, in 70s clothes or whatever it was at the time. And from I just remember it that way. Who knows what?
So you dreamed the movie Jesus Christ Superstar.
I dreamed the movie Jesus Christ Superstar, and I'm on the ground with everybody else crying because I know I'm not ascending.
Wow.
I'm left behind. So my 11-year-old self immediately decided that on Sunday I'm going to go and I'm going to join the call and I'm going to go up and I'm going to be saved. And so I did. And then it's like everybody came out of the woodwork to congratulate what a good thing that was, and how I was going to be, how God was calling me, and all this kind of stuff. So you have this sense of puffed up pride. And as the week waned, my 11-year-old self was like, seriously, in my head was like, what the fuck did you just do? All these people just came out to basically go, one of us, one of us, Google Gamble. And I just went and I braved it, and I went in front of my mom, and I went, I'm never going to church again as long as I live.
Wait a minute. Wait.
So soon after you did your promise or your call?
After I did my promise, before I got my baptismal, my brain just went a full 180.
Okay. Because you realized you had joined kind of it felt culty to your brain.
It felt culty, and I had remembered that not too long before that, maybe 6 months. And this is all, my old brain thinking about what my young brain was thinking about.
Right.
I had done something bad. I can't remember what it was, but whenever I went to church that week after I'd done the bad thing, the preacher basically said, oh, God is telling me so-and-so did something, this, blah, 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 which was exactly what I did.
Okay.
And I knew at that point that my mom had probably said something to him, and this was like a usual thing that they did.
Oh.
Which was a shame. No, it's that bad, yeah.
But he pretended it was the word of God.
Yeah.
When it was really just the word of mom.
I don't know if he said I was talking to God, but it was like I am being told that.
Oh, no.
I know. And I think that it passed over me. And whenever I was having that week of, hey, I'm going to be one of the cult, I think it just came into my head. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, I'm never going to do this again. So I thought, okay, I'm one of the unwashed masses. I'm going to be.
Okay. Straight to hell.
Right. And I was fine with that. I was like fantastic.
But then twist,
like many years later, I've become an actor. All kinds of crazy things happen in my life. I'm the least likely person to have become an actor. I grew up very poor in the South. There was no artist that I knew of, and no artist in my family except one crazy one. And, or they called him the crazy one. He was a visual artist.
Because he was the artist.
He was a sculptor. Yeah, he was a sculptor.
Oh, yeah. Well, he must be crazy.
Yeah. And did a lot of naked women sculptures, which I'm sure that was really good.
Side note, really quickly, just because you said that, I just saw My Name is Asher Lev up at...
I did too.
You did? With, I just saw 2 days, the 2 days before that or whatever, which, of course, that is the topic where the like uber Jewish religious Jews, what are they called? I can't think of it.
Orthodox,
the Hasids. Yeah, they're talking their painter son out of being a painter because it's from the dark place or whatever. Anyway, I just saw that. So that topic isn't of my mind.
Yeah, I love that. But you remember when he was handing them the box?
Yes.
And he was like going, this is kind of like what I felt like. This is the box. You are now turning your back on you are now going to be a problematic Jew.
Right. Totally.
If you take this box, and I love that. And I loved a lot of the metaphors. And there was one in there, which was talking about the creative process, which just hit me. So I was like, right, I can hear that. I can hear this treatise on the creative process now because I'm at a point in my life where I now make art as much as I can get out of my own head, only because I make art, not for anybody's consumption, not, you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Like, and I think that's probably some of the stuff that came to bear whenever Cass and I were just working, on that project. It was.
I I've been telling people it's one of the first times I've ever done a show where I would get out on stage and I didn't give a fuck about the audience. Not that I didn't care about them. Like, of course, it's lovely that they're there, but I wasn't doing it for them, which is, I've never experienced that before.
Right. Very interesting, right? I was like, I started experiencing that, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years ago, but it's really hard to maintain because, you. Of
course, that's the journey, right? That's the work.
Right.
Staying with that.
But anyway, getting back to the woo woo.
The woo.
So along comes about 1990. I'm in my first professional show in the Bay Area. I've already got my SAG card. I'm on my way to getting my equity card, and I get cast in Albert Takazakis's Tempest.
What a great last name, Takazakis.
Yeah, Albert Takazakis. Yeah.
Used to run SF Shakes.
Yeah, it was the main director there back in the days when SF Shakes was like it was kind of like the Shakespeare festival in there.
Okay.
And Sydney Walker, the late great Sydney Walker, was playing Prospero in that, and the list of luminaries that were in that production, that are still around, huge, is Vilma Silva from Oregon Shakes. Michael Sullivan was in that production as Ferdinand. It was just, Hector Correa. It was just,
now, if we're going to honor the 3-name pattern, we have to tell you that we were just talking about Michael Gene Sullivan, and that's who you're talking about, right?
Right. Michael Gene Sullivan, Michael Ray Weisley, Michael Anthony Torres.
Yes. Oh, that's the other one, Michael Anthony Torres.
We had a list going. Yeah.
Michael Barrett Austin.
The father, son, and the yet to be. But so Sydney Walker, I had no idea, but he was this incredibly spiritual human, like beyond anything I'd ever met. And up until that time, my spiritualism was pretty much, I was always kind of a spiritual person, but it was always like trying to figure out what I was or whatever. And Sydney Walker belonged to a church in San Francisco called the San Francisco Church of Prayer, and it held services in a hotel on Van Ness. I can't remember the name of the hotel, every Sunday. And it was populated by Sydney Walker and 3 other people who were the pastors of the church, and they were all mediums. And you would go there and they would give you spiritual readings from beyond, people who want to work with you spiritually.
Amazing.
And I was just like, I don't believe any of this stuff, but guess sign me up. I want to get, and it was populated by all people in our business. It was all actors, mostly people in the film and television business.
Right.
Weird vagabond, of
crew.
Yes. And it was the oddest thing, but for whatever reason, I was all in. And so I would go there and it became the place where I would go and try to keep quiet and meditate. And then I would just listen to what they say and the supposed teachers that were lining up to serve me from the other side, these angels that were
okay.
And then Sydney would have me over to his house sometimes, and like one time he was talking to me and something fell from the ceiling, and it was this rope and it had these knots in it, and he claimed that just fell from the ceiling, and that was given to me as a sign of these. I don't know. See, look, it was just so interesting to me, and I didn't care what was true or not true or what was matter to me. It was a new way for me to have some kind of spiritual understanding, or to just basically sit and be just another clod of protoplasm.
Sure. So what did you come away from that period with? Like, where are you now? What's your relationship with consciousness or spirit or whatever now?
Well, it started a path where I have cruised in and out ever since the early 90s, where I'll have moments of what I think is like just really understanding what the universe is and how it can serve me if I'll just cut out the noise. And then I'll have long periods of just being a human clod.
Totally.
Of selfishness.
Sure.
and right now I'm in the next period of that, which is like, I imagine Cassie's told you and everybody knows because I've been extremely open about it, but I lost my wife last year, in June of last year, after a 2-year battle with cancer. She got brain cancer. She got a very difficult brain cancer called glioblastoma multiforme.
I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't know.
But she went to that church with me, right? And she was the one who was always trying to be. Our daughter was almost named Sydney after Sydney Walker.
Wow. Okay.
And then Sydney came to her in a dream and said, have your daughter be like me. Don't have her, not be like me, but
yeah, you don't have to name her after me. Yeah.
One of our dear friends named their son Walker. Matter of fact, another actor we know, Charles Shaw Robinson, and his wife Anna. They had a son Walker, and they named him after Sydney Walker. And there's so many people who Sydney touched that way.
Wow.
I called him the redwood of acting, but he was really a redwood of a human being. He was this giant spiritual person who you knew when you walked into a room, his person filled the room, and you knew you were in the presence of a person. If we believe that we are here to learn a lesson and we might have to return many times until we learn it. He was he was certainly in the last moments of his.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And,
yes.
And I recognized him as that. And so I went to the church, and then, like I said, I've gone in and out, but ever since my dear wife, Wendy, hi, Wendy.
Hi, Wendy.
I know. And I started having these visitations, and they were like, I did not want them. Like, they were scary and they were uncomfortable. And then
This is since Wendy passed, you started having these visitations?
Since Wendy passed, like not too long after she passed, I started having visitations. And it's a sore spot with other people in my life, because they say that Wendy's not visiting them. And, so there's all this there's some shame around it and stuff like that. But
Wait a minute. Sorry. So visitations specifically from her or from other beings?
This is the thing.
Okay. We can find out.
Right. Let's do that. But
okay.
This is that I believe it is, but it's in a form that I no longer understand. Right.
Sure. Yes.
I have been given a vision gift of what possibly is on the other side. But it was also told to me, there's no way you'll ever understand it. This is what it looks like. This is what it is like. This is what it feels like. But you can never understand it until you're here. And then it said something so completely insane to me. And based on it said, I have always been, I always will be. Doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. You are part of it.
Namaste.
And that's what the Bible, that's what all the teachings of all the different things say.
Yes.
That I have been, I always will be.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever that's said to you on such a basic level, and it's not said, it wasn't said, it was intuited, right?
I know.
And then you're like, the further you get away from it, the further you go, you're
crazy.
So okay, that's just something that.
Yes.
And I have all these problems and all this stuff.
Right, of course.
But then what compelled me to come on here is because I think I'm compelled to tell this story about what happened recently, because just like I say this, and I say this with all humility, and when Wendy passed away, there came a point where I realized, whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter, because it actually happened, so it is true. I was put on this earth to meet her, to be with her, and then to take her to her last moment, right? So that's that was a large part of my journey. And in that journey, I have been changed forever, right? So.
Well, that's not beautiful at all, you son of a bitch.
I know, right?
Oh my God, what the fuck? It's so pretty. I'm sorry, keep going.
No, then you go to, is it true? Well, it must be true because it actually happened, right? And so whenever stuff starts happening to me, I go, okay, I can either choose to believe that this is divine power of some kind, that, by the way, does not judge. That was another thing that was really hard to take in the thing I intuited, is that it was like, it intuited all this stuff to me. And then it went, I don't judge. And then immediately I'm like, well, that means you don't judge Adolf Hitler. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, I don't.
Yeah, I got a lot to say about that, but I hear you. Yes.
My God.
Yes.
How can this possibly be?
That's right.
That I'm a part of something that has no judgment.
Yeah.
That I don't have any choice over, that is and always will be. Right. And that is not anything that, whatever it is, it's probably nothing like any kind of stories we've made up or made up over the centuries, and that it's so large. And then I got a vision of it, which was, it was like the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. And I still don't.
Were you like just walking down the street? Were you in meditation?
I was on psilocybin.
You were what?
He was on mushrooms.
Oh, sure. All right.
And I'd taken them intentionally for
grief.
For my grief.
Yeah.
Right. Because and I hadn't done it, since I was a child. Since I was very young, I had not done any kind of psychedelic. And I was just like, well, there's plenty of, so I read a whole bunch and I did that. But the point is that I got visited, and the visits for me are like this. Imagine going into your house after a night, and you come home and you feel like somebody's been in your house, and the tingling that happens to you when you feel that, right? The hairs on the back of your head. Well, imagine that 10 times that strong and all over your body, right? It's something that just completely is over your body for a second. So when I first felt it, and I felt like it might be Wendy or some entity, that Wendy's energy force or something that Wendy was a part of, it took over my whole body. And I was like, get out of me. I don't want you here. I don't. This is very uncomfortable. I don't know what it is. I think it's bad. Whatever it is, get away from me. And over the next few days, I just felt, okay, now I feel bad because I feel like I just denied my wife access to something, with me. And so then I invited, and almost immediately it came when I invited it again. And then I just sat there with it and tried to breathe through it. And then, but the funny thing is that it doesn't really, there's no messages that it brings. There's no, it's just it's a visitation.
And how do you feel when it's present with you?
Those tingles and like my breath is being taken away from me, and incredibly a giant range of joy and sadness and like gratefulness and also I feel like I'm a little crazy.
Well, because judgment is hard to bifurcate
every single day, every goddamn day, right? It's like hard.
Well, I think that the spiritual path in large degree is the journey of messing around with the idea of what would it be like to live without judgment. That's kind of the whole thing. Like when I, working with clients and trauma, working with everything I do is always comes back to judgment. Judgment is the thing that creates separation best in our world. And I'll just tell you one thing. When you're talking about this, it's like you were here to support her life and she was here to activate your spiritual alignment. And she's continuing to do that. She shows up to be like, hey, buddy, you ready to high vibe it? And you're like, kinda.
Right.
A little afraid.
Right. And it also goes back to another tenet of all religions, that's giving over power.
Yeah.
Right. And not having a giant stake in outcome, even though your intention is fully outcome based.
Sure.
And I don't think those two are at odds now. I think they were at odds. Now I don't think they're at odds. I think like I just made a recent intention, and through making that intention, all kinds of things just line up. And they just show themselves to you. Now, is that the way to the intention? Is the intention the thing at all? No, but creating the intention creates the circumstances which may lead you to what you actually need rather than what you feel like you need. You know what I mean?
Right. My framing is like the difference between wants and needs. The ego wants what it wants and the mind is pretty determined to get it, but the needs are given by the divine.
Right. And I'm trying to, and what my newest feeling and understanding is, whenever I can get out of my ego, which is large, and all the other things that have hindered me all my life.
What, an actor with an ego?
Right.
What do you mean?
It's not necessary. Is that because for many times, we get stuck in, well, my intention needs to be very perfect and specific and blah, blah, blah. And it does. But then when you put your attention out, understanding that is a placeholder.
Yeah.
That needs to have clarity so that you can start putting together the things that will give you the further clarity.
That's it.
That intention is exactly what I want, and that's what I'm going to go for, which you can still do.
Sure.
But to understand on the next level that maybe you just needed to make that decision so that things can come into your life.
Right. The next thing can fall into place, and then the next thing, and then the next thing.
And then the next thing, right. And that not believing, just being okay with it.
Yeah.
And that's still going to be the hardest part. I know it's going to be the hardest part of the journey, from day one, but whenever you see things line up. Okay. So anyway, I talk a lot, so just ask me questions, whatever you want to hear.
I want to just insert here another thing you brought up when Michael Ray and I were living together for the last 2 months, which was
Awesome.
a lovely experience because we've known each other for damn near 20 years, but haven't really spent any time together for probably over 15 years. And so we just were chopping it up. We actually saved the stories he's telling now. He was like, I won't tell him because I'll just come on the podcast and tell him. But the thing that kept coming up were the 11s.
Right.
Oh, cool.
All the time. And he was mentioning that it's always 1:11 or 11:11 whenever anything fucking happens. Constantly, he's always looking at the clock. It's 11:11. And then it started happening when I was around. I would witness it with him constantly. Sure. Happened all the damn time.
Yeah.
We'd get home after the rehearsal and we'd be like chopping it up at the dinner table and just sitting there, and suddenly 11:11 would happen. Just like, yeah. Anyway, for what that's worth, I thought that was fun.
I just want to read this thing about the ones for a second. The frequency of the one is about beginnings, taking the initiative, believing in yourself, and accepting a leadership role in which you step ahead of the curve, beyond the consciousness of those around you, to guide the human race forward into love.
Wow. That's not asking a whole lot, is it?
Well, see, I think that's what Wendy's up to. Is she's like, honey, I get that I left the physical form, but your job isn't done with the whole waking up spiritually and leading the people into love.
Right. And I'm really not a worthy vessel for that. You know what I mean? I have literally spent most of my life complete id. You know what I mean? It's like, and
But hold on, because worthy vessel is not really the point, though. Like, it's like part of being in the id all the time, it can be problematic, but it's also the inner child who is most connected to spirit. Inner child is the most connected to spirit part that any of us has. So of course you can receive a lot from spirit because you're connected to your inner child. That's the one who's receptive, at least for you anyway, and for a lot of people. But also, if you've spent your whole life in the id and spirit is going, wake up, that's the exact right reason to wake up, because it's time to integrate not just the id. So it's for you and it's for them. It's like for everyone. Everybody wins.
Right.
You don't have to be worthy. To me, the worthiness idea is a hangover from some of the limiting ideas from religion. Although what I'll say is everyone's worthy of the divine light because you're human. The question is, will you receive it? And will you transmute the parts of your heart that live in judgment? And then that can be a project that you're on for the rest of your time in this form, in this lifetime, working towards, this thing says, let's just get it again. It says, taking the initiative, beginnings, believing in yourself, and accepting a leadership role in which you step ahead of the curve, beyond the consciousness of those around you, to guide the human race forward into love. Knowing you 5 seconds, you're already a guy who you're pulling me forward into love. You have love emanating out of your heart, like very palpably. You and love are like good teammates. So like, I'm not surprised at all that you're being tasked, probably because in part of the power of your id, to inspire people toward love, because you got a lot of energy that is very charismatic and pulley-inny. Like you have people want to be near you. You're like a bright, shiny light. Who better?
You did joke about you could have been a cult leader. I just want to say, you did say that to me at one point.
I knew at a pretty young age that I could have been a cult leader.
I'm glad you weren't, because
I know. But interesting. Kate. Well, there's some stuff that's been lining up that says really similar things, all the way to the point of I've been feeling this thing lately where, and I've been reading. Things have just been popping up where I've been reading about stepping into a place where you are now in control of the avatar rather than being the avatar, right?
Right.
And being in control of how you walk about the world as you see the game and you see the things happening rather than being inside of it.
Right. Totally.
And you make your choices based on that, and so you help push your life forward. Rather than a reactionary, but as someone who witnesses and can remove themselves from it.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting idea because it has not been my, only whenever I've been in a spiritual mood has that been a thing,
Sure. Well, one other thing, if I may, about worthiness, because this is relevant to a lot of people listening. I come at these profound acid trippy spiritual experiences and awakenings and being a teacher and all this shit from having been the lowest of the low. In other words, I mean, that's even a Christian idea, right? The meek shall inherit the earth. It's the heroin addict on the street who meets God like this.
It's the narcissist that tries to destroy democracy.
Correct. But the heroin addict says, well, that's a different kind of think they're God. That's different. But like, my point is, when you come from a low place, an injured place, being the broken one, the brokenness is the door to the light. Those who are not broken have a harder time connecting with the light. Cassidy and I talk on here a lot about, he was so freaking well nurtured by his dumb, loving parents that he has a harder time knowing God than I do, because I am just all kinds of broken.
Right.
And so, but the brokenness is like this crack open into the other realms that allows access from the light. So it's like the way I was taught is lean into the pain of where you're broken. Like in your case, I might say something like the pain of the loss of your wife. I would say lean in and open up and receive from there, because you'll be able to receive everything from there. Because the crack open through the pain, that's the best door we have.
Right. That's man, all this stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So let me so we got married by somebody from that church, by the way. Her name was Miriam Boswick. We got married in a ceremony up in the Gold Country at a family's house of some people we adopted as our California parents, right?
Aww.
So have been in and out of spiritualism since then, but since Wendy passed away, this thing happened. And so now I just want to get into this section because I want you to hear this story before.
Oh, I can't wait.
So, and I don't know what it means for the future, but I do know that it happened, right? So long about the time I sat for a year last year. My body is a wreck compared to what it was. And I just sat for a year and everybody told me it was going to be difficult. And I was like, I'm going to be fine, blah, blah, blah. And then I was just a mess. And Wendy was worried about me all the time, right?
Yeah.
But with help of friends and people, I and just literally this community that we're a part of really stepped up for us as a family, and just like people that you don't even know just become the number one people who show up and do things. It's a very strange thing to have almost strangers very central to your existence, right?
Wow. What a beautiful thing.
As well as other people, it's almost like they were called, right?
Yes.
And then
it's almost like we're all interconnected and need each other.
Oh my God, yes. So then I finally I'm doing theater after theater. I'm not having that great of a time doing theater. It's very difficult, but I'm doing it and grateful for every opportunity, but still having some hard times. And then I decide after I do Clue, which I heard you guys talk about last time.
Yeah. We shat on it. I believe we shat on it. We did some shitting into its mouth.
As a concept, not specific.
Not specific, but I thought it was very interesting. 2 shows I did last year, that Christmas,
Christmas Carol and Clue,
where I played Scrooge and Colonel Mustard. But about to go into Christmas Carol again, by the way.
Rock on.
I think it's one of the greatest stories.
I love that. Come on, I love that story. I've done it 18 times. That's why I shit on it, is I'm so tired of it. But also, it's so great. There's so much in it. We love it. Come on.
So I'm planning Wendy's memorial a year later, and I have to sit for a month with everything, every picture we ever took. Every time I go anywhere, Katie and Cassidy, and those of you out there who, if this might ever happen to you, a spouse especially, I relive moments of our life that I never thought I would relive, and they're not always good ones.
Sure.
Oftentimes they're the ones that weren't good, and you just remember every single detail. So I had to spend a month with that, and I put together this video, and then I put together all the people, and what happens in every funeral is that some people that you have been supportive of you become assholes and because they're hurting too.
Sure.
And it is, but they become egomaniacs or whatever. And there's just always, around every funeral I've ever been involved with, or every kind of memorial, there's always somebody who ends up losing their damn mind and becomes not kind. And that happened as well. But we did it, and it was amazing. And it worked exactly the way it should have. And I did not feel any release from it. But the next day, my phone just started ringing off the hook. like that whole next week, just audition, audition, offer, blah, blah, blah. But 6 months prior to this, while I was in the middle of it, I had this thing where I was like going through the internet and I saw this thing about Elton John. And if you know me, you know, I like to be on stage. I don't want to be in an audience anywhere, just about. I don't like people sitting beside me. Just like I want my own exit door. Crowds make me nervous. I can handle them just like anything else, but you know, then it takes a toll on me mentally and spiritually.
Sure.
I'm in the crowd. So I never go to concerts. I've been to 3 my entire life until this year. And anyway, so this thing just keeps going, Elton John, Elton John, Elton John. And I'm like, Elton John? Okay, Elton John. And it was like, you need to go see Elton John. I'm like, I need to go see Elton John. What? I need to go see Elton John? What? No, I don't need to go see. I mean, who wouldn't want to see Sir Elton John? But I'm not going anywhere to see him because I don't do that. And fuck no. Right. So
Yeah.
I need to preface this with one thing. Wendy died June of 2022. She had a best friend in high school named Jörg Mayer. He was a German exchange student and he and his family became a huge part of our lives. I'm telling you this because this is another crazy thing that happened that fits into the story and pulls it all together. Jörg Mayer had a wife named Andrea, and they had 2 girls, Lisa and Laura, 2 little Heidi girls, about 2 years apart. They all had the braids. German family that lived near the Rhine in a place called Dinslaken. They would come over here and visit us. We would visit them. Our whole lives, we were entwined with this German couple. We called them our Germans, right?
Sweet.
5 months after Wendy died, Jörg gets the exact same brain cancer, and which is a rare brain cancer. Like maybe 15, 20,000 people in the United States a year get it, right?
Wow.
Maybe 50,000 worldwide, right? Maybe 60,000 worldwide. And he dies in 5 months.
Whoa.
Because either you can operate on it or you can't. If you can operate and radiate it, you've got 15 months maybe. Or if the universe shines on you, you actually get away with it. And nobody knows why, right? But they can't fix it. They can't
Jeez.
They can't do whatever. So I just wanted placeholder, Jörg Mayer.
Yep.
Dies of the same brain cancer 5 months later. So
Got it. Okay.
So Elton John. I'm like, okay, fine. So finally, about December, while I'm getting over COVID, because it knocked me out of the show, I'm sitting and it's go see Elton John. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to think.
Right.
So I see that he's going to be in Paris when Wendy's birthday comes up. So I'm thinking maybe Wendy is telling me I should go to Paris and see Elton John.
Wow.
On her birthday.
Okay.
When I get done with this contract, I will look into tickets to go. So I start the contract. I do Clue. That gets over. I'm starting to do the memorial. Now we're back to where I was talking about. And while I'm doing the memorial, I see that Elton John is still there, and I'm about to do it. And then I get right after the memorial, when I'm about to buy the tickets, I get a audition for a commercial. I've never had a national commercial, always wanted one, never had a national commercial. I go to the audition. It is like the universe has plucked me. When I go to the audition, everybody's like, oh my God, your read was incredible. One of my favorite people, an actress that we would all know, I can't believe I can't think of her name right now. Anyway, she's there. I think it's because she's so angelic and so perfect that I got this on, that I get this commercial, because she's looking at me with love as my partner in this scene.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks I'm brilliant because this beautiful woman is looking at me like I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread, right?
Okay.
But I get it. And it takes place on Wendy's birthday.
Okay.
So I get something I've always wanted on Wendy's birthday.
Got it.
Now I go see Elton John.
Okay.
I do the thing. It's incredible. I have a great time. I'm now, hopefully it'll be great residual wise. Doesn't matter. It paid pretty well to start with. Right after, go see Elton John. I'm like, we've already dealt with this. I'm not seeing Elton John. So then I finally go, okay, fine. I'll look it up. I look it up. Only thing I can make is July 7 because of the time that's gone by. It's his last show of his last tour.
Jesus.
Ever.
What?
And it's in Stockholm, Sweden.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like going, I'm not going to do this. And it's like, you got to go see Elton John. And I'm like, why do I have to? Fuck. Why will this not leave me alone? So finally I go, fuck it. I'll go see Elton John. As soon as I say that, and I'm not kidding, hair on the back of my head, a full embodiment of tingles just shoot through my body. And I'm like going, I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. So I buy a ticket. It's very expensive. I decide it's so expensive. I'm going to go business class. And then I get a great business class ticket for like only $200 more than an economy ticket.
Great.
Right. And I'm just thinking, okay, well, I guess this is going to work out. And so I start packing my shit because I've only got a day to pack it. And I'm going to.
Jesus.
You bought a ticket to Sweden 2 days before you were going.
2 days before I was going.
Oh, okay.
I'm telling people, I'm skipping town, and everybody's going like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, I'm going to see Elton John. And I get a ticket to see Elton John. It's in Tele2 Stadium in Stockholm, Sweden. It's, there's not that many tickets left. I'm having to buy it on the aftermarket. It's like $400 for like nosebleed tickets.
I'm getting chills. I cannot wait to hear the end of this.
No. It's so big, Katie. It's so big.
Can you do me a favor?
Yes.
You're going to kill me. I have to pee.
Yes.
Can you just pause right here?
Don't say anything more.
Don't you talk while I'm gone, sir. I'll be right back.
We're going to talk about you. Oh my God. Let's talk about Katie. Katie often has to pee during an episode.
You told me that last time.
This is a common occurrence. It's fine.
But it's only one time so far. So that's.
Yeah, that's always just one time.
I used to think my life was so empty. I used to think life was passing me by. Well, I was just about ready to curl up and die. But then one day I got a visit.
Okay, I'm so on the edge of my seat. That was the worst time to have to pee. Okay. So there we are flying to Stockholm.
I'm flying to Stockholm, Sweden. We're landing in Stockholm, Sweden, 11:30 midnight on the Friday before the Saturday I'm supposed to see him, right? And while we're taxiing in, I'm looking for a place to stay because I have.
Oh my God.
And stupid, by the way, really dumb to do that. But I was just,
well,
that's what I'm going to do.
You're answering the call.
Right. So I find a hotel on the way there. I go there. It's this giant place that was built during COVID. So it's like a 400-room hotel that's got me and another couple in it.
Oh God.
What I realized right before I leave, Katie, is that, and this is the first of the giant revelations, right? Is that I was like, why Elton John? Why Elton John? Why Elton John? Jörg Mayer's daughter, who now has 2 daughters of her own, whose father has just died 5 months before. She lives 45 minutes from Stockholm, Sweden. 45 minutes. The whole point of my trip, I already realized, was I was bothered 6 months earlier to go see Elton John. And it was always predetermined that I was going to see him in Stockholm, Sweden.
And now we're talking.
And that my whole point of my trip was to be with his daughter and to discuss his death with her, who has 2 babies of her own and is like any person that has 2 babies, got a brand new newborn and a 2-year-old.
No, mess.
They're a mess.
Nightmare.
And
their dad has died.
And their dad has died, and you can tell that they're just in shock of having babies and dad dying. And I can tell that the family's having a few problems, you know what I mean? And like my whole point is to be there and to support that and to have a discussion about that. And we have tears and it's amazing. So I know going there on the plane, that's the point, right?
Yes.
So I get there, I call them. They're like, I don't know. I mean, we'll come down, but we never leave the house, and guys working all the time, but we'll jam the kids in the car and we'll come see you. So they take me around Stockholm on Saturday, because now it's Saturday morning, and they're going to show me around Stockholm, and then that night they're going to drop me off at Tele2 Arena, and so they do that, and it's fun and we have a good time. And then I say, after I get done with this, I'm going to go visit you in your town, which is 45 minutes away. I'll come and stay with you for a few days and we'll talk about your father and everything. Thank you so much. It's great to see you. I go to Tele2 Arena. While I'm in line, I'm up there. There's like thousands of people. And what I don't realize is that there's people from all over the world, because these concerts were canceled during the pandemic. This is the last concert. It was always supposed to be in Stockholm, but it's the last concert because it's the last concert of the tour that was canceled.
Okay.
And he's redeemed it that he's never going to go on tour again, right?
Wow.
On a big tour anyway.
Right.
And so I'm standing in line, and this couple named Heinrich, what is his name? It's Carlson. That makes sense, doesn't it? Heinrich Carlson. He and his family are in line. He's got these two. They're the Swedish couple out of the Swedish couple catalog, right?
Okay.
With their Swedish sons. And it's raining, so she's got an umbrella, and we're talking, and I start telling them my story, and they're just like, "Who is this crazy American who's here, who just flew in yesterday?" And they're like, "Wow." And we get up there, and they can't get their umbrella into this. They're like, "You can't bring your umbrella into the place." And she's like, "What if I put it in my purse?" And they're like, "Okay, you put it in your purse," and it won't fit in a purse. And I have a bag with me, and I go, "What if I put it into my knapsack? Right? Can I take it in?" And they're like, "Okay, you can take it in." So we exchange numbers. And so I see the show. Here's the next big thing. I hate sitting beside people. This place is packed.
I hate it too, by the way.
I've already gotten my ticket. I'm by myself. I go inside with this couple's umbrella I barely know, but I've told some of my story too, and they're just like enthralled. And I get to my seat, and my seat is here, and on both sides of me are empty. Is an empty place.
Wow.
In a sold out concert.
I don't have to sit beside any.
Oh my God.
Wendy and Olivia's seats, right? It's a seat for my daughter and my wife. And I just fucking burst into tears, I'm just like, this can't be. You can read anything you want to into things, but Jesus, this thing is crazy.
Yes.
So then afterwards, they call me up. I see the concert. It's great. It was a great concert. I'm like, I feel like Wendy's there, and I watch it, and I don't know what my life is, and I'm bleary eyed because I've been on a jet. And,
yeah, of course.
And then these people call me and they go, "Hey, Michael, why don't you come? We're going to take you out." So they get an Uber and they take me back into Stockholm.
Okay.
This is Heinrich Carlson.
Heinrich Carlson is in his family. And he's this guy, I guess he's a businessman. And I start telling their family this story of why I'm here and what I think and the nature of travel magic, which I truly believe in, which is all part of what we're talking about. It's about being so completely open that things happen to you that would not normally happen to you.
Right.
And I'm like, you guys are part of my travel magic. And they've already invited me to the West Coast. And I'm like, we'll see if I come to the West Coast. I don't know. And so that night I go get a hotel, and, it's dumb of me not to have a hotel by now for that night, because 50,000 people descended on Stockholm, which is not a big city, and they all needed a hotel. So I can't find one. I finally find one at 3 a.m, 7-8 miles outside of town. Right.
Okay.
I get there. They have one room left. It's 111.
Okay.
Right.
The room is 111.
111. Yeah. Room 111. So I'm just like, it's pretty funny. Day of the night, I get up the next morning. I go to Stockholm to the Vasa Museum. Vasa Museum, look it up. Crazy, best museum I've ever been to. It's about a boat that was built by a Dutch king. By a Swedish king using Dutch people. And it was the biggest, giantest boat ever with the most guns on it. And it took like 2.5 years to build, and then it sailed into the middle of the harbor and sunk immediately.
What?
Because of the design. And then they found it like almost perfectly intact. Like 400 years later, they spent 30 years resurrecting it, and they built a museum around it in Stockholm. You should go to it. It's called the Vasa Museum. Brilliant museum. And I'm walking outside after that, and I just happen to be on this bridge, and right in front of me is what Wendy knew to be my ideal kind of female figure, right? It was like this beautiful, high cheekboned woman with like very thin, not super, but like shapely, thin body. Like she would always make fun of me for being very typical and for me, for what I liked in a female. And this woman just comes up and starts talking to me, and I'm just minding my own business. Right. And then she goes, "Well, what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I was thinking about getting some dinner." And she goes, "You want to get some with me?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not?" she's gorgeous, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm just saying yes to anything right now. And so we go to dinner, and then somehow it comes around to our birthdays. Mine's is October 11th.
Which is 10/11.
And I go, "What's your birthday?" She goes, "October 1st. So 1/11.
10/1. Yeah. Yeah.
Just another thing that just like,
yeah.
At this point, I'm just like trying to maintain my sanity. All this stuff. Then I call Heinrich and his family, and they're like, "Come out. We want you to come and join us."
Aww.
So I get there, I take a train. He picks me up in his car. He takes me back to the most incredibly idyllic island of Orust. And the island of Orust, he lives on top of a hill in a mansion that he just built with his wife that also has a guest house on it. And it overlooks the most idyllic, think of the most idyllic Swedish harbor you've ever seen. And that's what I'm looking at, right? And then I'm given a guest house. And inside the guest house, Wendy and I lived on boats for 13 years.
Huh.
Been a sailor all my life.
Huh.
Inside the guest house, it's only sailing it's sailing everything. It's like sailing pictures, sailing sails.
Wow.
And I'm talking to him at dinner, and he gets around to cars because he picked me up in a Porsche like SUV. And he goes, Michael, what's your favorite car? And I'm like, well, ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted a Porsche 911 Targa. My go-to car ever since I was a child. I don't even want a supercar. That's just what I want. If I could ever have one of those, that'd be great. I'm probably never going to have one, but that's what I would pick. And he goes, wow, that's really interesting. I just happened to have bought a brand new one. It's in my garage. And so we go tearing out across the countryside, Swedish countryside, in a brand new Porsche 911 Targa. Not just a Porsche 911S or a Cheyenne, none of that. Not a Toucan, the exact car that I have wanted my entire life, except it's the brand newest model, right?
This is some next level shit, man.
It's next level shit.
Yeah, I have stories. I just want to say this.
Yeah.
People on the podcast are tired of hearing me tell stories like this. So it's really, you have to understand though, like I have so many stories like this that I so feel you and I so hear you because this is what my life is. So I love that you're here telling us this, and it's not just me going like, and then the 305 showed up, and then see, it's you're telling my story. This is how the magic of when you're in this kind of vortex of connection.
And I swear me being here is part of that story, right?
Yes.
Cassidy telling me about this and me remembering you and remembering the immediate, even though you don't remember me.
No, I have to say something about that, but yeah, exactly.
The immediate draw I had to you, like, and immediately I was like, I got to be on the podcast. That's it. I have to be on there. And I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't, whatever. But I feel compelled. So just like I felt compelled to tell the story of Wendy, if you go to my Facebook page, and anybody who's listening to this, if you know me and you haven't read it, I was extremely open about Wendy's disease and about what I was feeling about the disease, not because I necessarily wanted to be, but because I was compelled to be, because
I get that.
I knew that was going to be part of our journey and part of what was going to make that journey as successful as a terrible fucking journey could be.
Yes.
I knew at the moment Wendy got sick, I was like, because Wendy was a very private person. And I was like, Wendy, we can either be fully open or we can hunker down like most people do. And I said, I think we should be fully open.
Yeah.
Embrace that in her uncomfortability, right?
Wow.
Anyway, so I'm with Heinrich. Then I go to, I take off from there. I go to Cope.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you again. I know it's terrible, but I just have to say this. I can't wait to hear the end of the story. And I really want us to leave time because I really feel like I need to talk to Wendy.
Right. You know what? That right there is good enough for the end of the story. Other stuff happened, but it wasn't as magical.
Okay.
Because I chose safety over
openness,
complete openness, right?
Yeah.
I chose wasn't wrong. There was nothing wrong with it. It was beautiful. It was also serendipitous. It was great, but I stopped riding on the coattails of the universal wind.
Right.
And my journey changed because of it.
Interesting.
It did. But anyway.
Well, you don't have to stop. I just wanted to put that out there that like before 3:00, I want to at some point get in there in the records. And I just feel like it's just too weird that I can do this. And you're talking about her coming to your house all the time and we could just connect with her, no problem, and ask her what's up.
Let's do that. I mean, the rest of the story really is that, though. It was like, I met another, I think I was having trouble at this point because I was tired and I was wrung out and all these things spiritually were happening. And it was a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I went to Copenhagen because I just decided I'm going to go to Copenhagen. And I rode around on a bicycle and I went to Christiania, which is their place. And I met this other guy about 10 years younger than me who was also a solo traveler. And I think that was put in my space to go, hey, you could be It's okay to be a solo traveler. This guy seems completely at home being a solo traveler and living on that kind of edge, with it. And I met up with him again in London, and some other stuff happened in London. But like I said, I went to London and I called my dear friends Aaron Loeb and Kathy Roberts.
Yeah.
They were like, "Hey, can you be here by the 14th?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Why?" And they said, "Well, because we're going to America." And because they live in London.
I just heard from Aaron like a week ago.
Oh, fantastic! They said we're going to America, and you can have our house the entire time you're.
What?
So I chose that, and it was fantastic, and it was beautiful, and some more stuff happened. But the bulk of the magic had that I could see because I was available anymore. You know what I mean? It could have been that I was wrung out.
Well, that's normal.
And since then, I've been having a lot of calling to continue my work to train. Right. So I don't know if you're familiar with a thing called Mind Valley. That's a thing all over. At first seems like a scam and a weird thing and whatever. And then you start looking at the classes they offer and the different kind of people that they offer. And so that might be something I look at. It might be, not condoning it at all, by the way. That is not an endorsement. Just I've been having a calling to really pay attention to this. More to your point early on, I'm being asked to be a part of something. And this has happened several times in my life. I think Sydney Walker was the first time after in my adult life, in my late 20s. I keep throwing my id in the way of it. And then it gets run over by the id train, and then it has to reoccur. But
so okay, here's how we do this. I'm going to do something called opening your Akashic records, and I'm going to open Wendy's Akashic records. And I want to this is what I want to ask her, and then we can ask her whatever the hell you want to ask her. Is that her visiting? Which, by the way, yes is the answer.
Okay.
And if so, what does she need you to know? What is she there for? What is she trying to show you? And also, like, next steps on your, what are the next indicated actions for you on your road of awakening? Does that all seem relevant?
It seems relevant. I'm a little afraid of it, to be honest with you.
I understand. Hold on a second. Michael.
Are you okay with it, though?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think what happens whenever these things happen to you is that your fear of it is that now you are responsible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, here's your responsibility.
Shit, now I know it. I can't not know it.
Right. And that's what opens up with these things. Always.
Fair enough. Absolutely. 100%. What is your wife's full name, the legal name on her driver's license or closest to it?
After she married me or before?
At the end.
Oh, Wendy Lee McLaughlin Wisely, Wisely.
It's interesting. Your last name is Wisely, bro. Wisely.
And your full name is Michael Ray Wisely, right? There's no additional.
Michael Ray Wisely, R-A-Y.
Okay. What's your time frame? Can you stay a little after 3, or are you tight?
I am so here for this.
Okay.
I'm here for the podcast. I'm here for all of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that puts us in the 2-hour realm, so but that's fine.
Yeah, I'm actually finally scheduled well, Cass, and don't have anything immediately following what we're doing, so I can go over a bit. Okay. Give me a second.
And as I understand, is this part of the podcast, or is this is after the podcast?
No, this is the deal. This is what we do with people.
Woo!
Hang
on.
And this is what I do all day, every day with people. This is why I'm doing less theater, is because I'm in people's souls every day talking to God. No big deal. But we're coming back around to the theater thing, which is, I feel like we need to have you. We have a lot to talk about with Michael Ray Wisely. Okay, how this is going to go is we're going to just close our eyes, and I'm going to take us through a very simple breath work meditation. You're just going to connect with yourself and breathe. At a certain point during the meditation, you'll hear me say your name and your wife's name in a prayer that I'll say both your names in. Then I'll tell you that I'm going to go quiet for a moment. And after I go quiet, I'll say, okay, I'm in the records of you two. And then from there, I'll be connected with you on the soul level and connected with her on the soul level and connected with spirit and what I call consciousness, which is even bigger than spirit.
Let me ask you, can I ask you something before we do this?
Sure.
Vishnu.
Uh-huh.
Does that say anything to you?
Yeah, that's an Indian god, Hindu god.
Right. Has that in your spiritual practice, has that come up very often?
Well, so Vishnu's not my exact lineage. No, like I don't spend a lot of time with Vishnu, but the way my system operates as a channel is we could talk to any of the deities or the gods or the angelic beings or the ascended masters or the archangels. We can talk to anybody. So Vishnu is one deity.
That was one that came to me, and that was one very recognizable, almost to the point of being alien-like, that came to me in one of the visions I had.
Oh, cool. Well, yeah, then you have a connection with Vishnu, we would say.
Yeah, I mean, I guess,
You do, or you wouldn't have had a vision of that sort. Okay. So again, we're going to close our eyes. We're going to breathe. Nothing scary is going to happen to you. I'm going to open your records and her records. You may feel an opening in your heart. You may feel tingles, especially when she comes in. I am going to ask her if she'll come in and talk, and we'll see. And that's already a yes. So we'll hear from her. And you can ask Michael Ray anything at any time along the way. You won't be messing with the process or anything. I don't do anything that has anything to do with anything but divine light and energies that are even more big and positive than that. So there's no darkness that can mess with us here. There's nothing bad that can happen. You may have emotions. Those would be good to have. Like if they come up, please have them rather than squashing them, because they will be a doorway to something else. All right, and so we'll close our eyes and we'll take a few deep breaths into the low belly. Yeah, and you're already connecting, so we're already moving. And we'll breathe into the pelvic floor, and we're going to feel our feet flat on the ground. Just feel into the balls of the feet and the heels of the feet while you're doing whatever you're already doing. We're going to see a little foot chakra, like a spinning tornado of light at the bottom center of both of your feet. Little tornado of light that spins and it gets wider and wider, and it's just opening the foot chakras. And as that tornado of light gets bigger and bigger, little vortex, we're going to acknowledge that this is just the light body of you connecting with the light body of the earth more easily because we opened the bottoms of the feet. Visualize in your mind's eye, if you could, 500 tree roots of light anchoring down into the earth through the open window of each foot. 500 roots of light coming through your left foot down into the earth, hundreds of miles in. 500 roots of light coming through your being down through your right foot, hundreds of miles in, anchoring the light body of you to the planet. I don't even need to do the rest of this. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth. Amen. As it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. Holy Spirit of divine light, protect me, please, from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know Michael Ray wisely and Wendy Lee McLaughlin wisely in the light of the Akashic records. Help me, please, to see Michael Ray wisely and Wendy Lee McLaughlin wisely through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me, please, to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of Michael Ray wisely and Wendy Lee McLaughlin wisely have for them both. And I'm going to go quiet for just a moment. Breathe, feel into your feet, feel into your heart, allow your heart to expand even wider than it already is. And as we connect in with the Akashic records of these two people, what a bright Christ light in particular is present. As I said moments ago, I work with all the lights, all the lineages, all the teachers, all the ascended masters, any form of deity or divine being or whatever. You too are very aligned with what's called the Christ light, which is the light of the Christ, which is an energy that came to the earth in the form of a man that we know about called Jesus. The religion, of course, was twisted and tormented and turned into a thing that propagated power and control over people. But of course, that's not what Jesus itself was about. The Christ light is one of the brighter lights that there is for a human being to experience. It's why the religion is so popular. It's a very big, shiny, bright light. Boy, howdy, do you both carry it in a bright, bright way. Okay, so Wendy, okay. If you could breathe, Michael, into your low belly and your heart, feel there.
I'm feeling nauseous.
Yeah, that's something that wants to clear. So if you're okay with it, sink into the nausea, and I'm going to move that for you, or we should say the divine light is going to move that for you. So it might get a little bit worse for a minute, and then it's going to be gone. And the goneness of it is going to facilitate easeful communion with the divine and easeful communion with Wendy. So feel into it so we can just move that right out of the way. Good. La ilaha illallah. 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 Kul hu lahu had Allahu samad lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Kul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq min sharri ma khalaq wa min sharri ghasikin idha waqab wa min sharri nafathati fil 'uqad wa min sharri hasidin idha hasad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Kul a'udhu bi rabbin nas. Amin. Malikin nas ilahin nas min sharri waswasil khannas. Alladhi waswisu fi sudurin nas min al-jannati wan nas. Subhanallah. Okay, what's happening with the nausea now?
It's there. It's like I need to burp or something.
Okay. Can you drop your attention like into the center of the nausea and the need to burp? Like, could you just let yourself really have the nausea rather than stay separate from it just for a moment? Well, that's better. This is the transmutation of everything that keeps you disconnected and doubting and unsure. You're not going to go crazy by processing this. You're going to go integrated. You're going to go brighter. You're going to go lighter. You're going to know what you know without having to doubt so much. That doesn't make you crazy. That makes you ahead of the curve and able to facilitate people walking forward and to love themselves. We don't have to call it anything more fancy than love. Wouldn't it be nice if more people could step into love? I mean, and so it is. Okay, Archangel Raphael is very present as well.
Should I write this down, or am I just supposed to let this wash over me, Katie?
I would feel into it more than worry about remembering it, because you can play it back as an episode.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And so Wendy is connected to a lineage, a kind of ascended master, archangel, Christ-light lineage. And she's like the first layer of teacher. And then there's like all these other ones. So there's Archangel Raphael is a part of the journey, and then a bunch of other angels. And then I'm not even sure who else right now. And then the divine itself, this Christ light. And she's, okay. So now I'm just going to ask her to talk, unless you want to ask anything, Michael, before I do that. Michael Ray.
You go ahead and just get her to talk. I asked her too much.
Okay. Michael Ray Wisely, let us not miss the teachings present in your name. So Michael, like the archangel, Ray, like a ray of light. Wisely, how did he move into the second phase of his life? He moved wisely. Michael Ray Wisely. Also, you are influenced and connected by and to and through the first ray of light, which I can actually tell you about with the book I already have open when we looked at the numbers. The first ray. Let me find this. This is coming from Wendy. Give me a moment. Here we go. The first ray of power. The first ray of power is energy of conscious destruction. It can be used in a healthy way to eliminate the past and allow for a fresh start. The first ray also carries the frequency of leadership. It can assist you to stand in the truth of your light so others can find their way by it. It helps to strengthen your willpower so you can accomplish any task you choose. The Ascended Master El Moria brings you his particular blessing and encourages you to believe in your own strength and take the initiative on what matters most to you. If you're confused about which path to take or whether to continue a certain relationship, course of action or lifestyle choice, the first ray of power will clarify matters for you. When it moves through our lives, whatever is holding us back will be removed, either through circumstances seemingly beyond our own control or by our own actions based on a sudden inner knowing. When the first ray of power is indicated, a long-term plan that was once important to you may suddenly seem as though it needs to change or even be released altogether. Or you may suddenly get the motivation to go for something you've been dreaming of for a long time. Once this ray affects your life, your understanding of what is helpful and what is not can change overnight. The changes will feel very true, freeing, and helpful. Those people, dreams, and opportunities that remain in your life afterwards have survived the onslaught of divine will. This means that the universe is confirming that they are meant to be part of your journey at this time. The first ray of power also relates to matters of leadership and politics. Be open as to how your spiritual journey might be helpful in the world of politics, whether that be through aligning yourself with a cause that resonates deeply in your heart, or through bringing a more open and discerning viewpoint into the often deceptive world of politics. Speaking your truth will be very helpful at this time, not only for you, but also for those around you who are willing to hear your voice and make their own choices from a clearer place within. Don't be afraid to be heard. Lastly, finally, when this ray makes its way into your life, it is time to accept the loving gauntlet being thrown down by the universe and take your hands off the controls of your life. If only we had just been talking about that. Detach and be curious. The universe will show you exactly what you need and remove what you do not. If something or someone is no longer a part of your life, it will be so that a more beautiful, truthful, and satisfying version of what you are surrendering can come into your world. Remember, the universe loves you and wants only the best and most beautiful life experience for you. Trust it enough to let that happen now. Invocation. Oh no, I lost them. Wow. Oh man. All right, let's close our eyes again. We're gonna definitely stay late, Cass. If you have to hop off, I need to do this with him. So if you have to go at any point, go for it. I'm just letting you know, I'm doing this until we're done. All right, so we'll close our eyes and we'll breathe all the way down into the pelvic floor once more. And we'll allow the heart to soften and open just a bit wider again. And we'll let our bodies anchor down into the chairs that we're in. And so I was hearing from Wendy, and I'd like to keep hearing from you, if that's okay. Everything Michael needs to know, everything he came here to understand, everything you want him to know through visiting him home, and that is you. Yes, yeah. She says, it's me and so much more than me. Okay. All right. So when I come and visit you at home, there's so many beings of light present. Okay, what we were saying before is when she visits you, it's her, and then a lineage of Archangel Raphael, Archangel Michael, a bunch of other angels that work for them, the trumpeter, I don't even know what that means, and then the Christ light itself. Okay, Gabriel, and then the Christ light itself. So understand me, Wendy, to be like this tiniest beginning step in a full lineage of light beings that are trying to get you, Michael Ray Wisely, activated and aligned with this lineage completely. The nausea that came up for you is a piece of the energies within yourself that keep you from being able to fully align and activate into your highest spiritual alignment. Worthiness, as we started to say before direct channeling, is irrelevant. You're not worthy, you're chosen or not, and you're clearly chosen. So please receive the choosing. It's like more arrogant to say no thank you to the call. That would be being arrogant. Than to say, yes, I received the call. To say, yes, I bow my head and receive the call is humble. You're so small in your little tiny human body that to receive the call is quite a gift, you small, small, humble being. So please soften your heart, feel into any nausea or resistance that arises while I communicate with you. Feel into it. Don't go away from it, and allow this light that is present here for you on behalf of, remember, your activation, your awakening, your alignment, which has nothing to do with you being special. It has to do with you serving. You're just special enough to serve. Who do you serve? God. Why? For the sake of humanity. That's what humans do. Humans serve other humans in the name of the divine when they've received a divine call and a divine activation. So you're being asked to serve. So it's a very humble process. It's not arrogant. The arrogance is the resistance of the light that's trying to come in. We wish for you to understand the first ray of power. Why? Because your name, Michael Ray Wisely. Everything is leading to this moment, and this moment leads to the next. It's pretty incredible. The first ray of power is energy of conscious destruction. It can be used in a healthy way to eliminate the past and allow for a fresh start. The first ray also carries the frequency of leadership. It can assist you to stand in the truth of your light so others can find their way by it. You see, you stand in the truth of the light that is being activated through you, if you'll allow it, so that others can find their way by it. It helps to strengthen your willpower, ironically, so you can accomplish any task you choose. The Ascended Master El Morya brings you his particular blessing and encourages you to believe in your own strength and take the initiative, those are the ones, on what matters most to you. If you're confused about which path to take or whether to continue a certain relationship, course of action, or lifestyle choice, the first ray of power will clarify matters for you.
How do I access them, Katie?
It's here right now. That's what we're doing. So receive it. That's what we're saying about feel the nausea, feel into your heart, receive this ray. The ray is here now doing all these things I'm about to keep reading to you. When it moves through our lives, whatever is holding us back will be removed, either through circumstances seemingly beyond our own control or beyond our own actions, based on a sudden inner knowing. So when Wendy comes through in her lineage, in her alignment with these other higher beings, right? They are all trying to activate you through the first ray of power. It's just, you can think of it as one frequency of the divine's light or the Christ light that's going like, hey, let's break through all your limitations.
Is there an earthly correlation to the hertz, to the kilohertz or the megahertz or whatever of this?
Oh, I see. No, it's bigger than all the hertz.
Okay.
Okay, good question. When the first ray of power is indicated, like this comes up and you're supposed to read it. A long-term plan that was once important to you may suddenly seem as though it needs to change or even be released altogether. Or you may suddenly get the motivation to go for something you've been dreaming of for a long time. And so she stops me here. When I died, the first ray of power was activated in our lineage. You, me, the angels, the archangels, the Christ light. The first ray of my death was an opening into your activation through this ray. Michael Ray Wisely. It's all been unfolding exactly as it's meant to be, including your name and how you were named, and that you started in the Christian view and the Christian alignment. Of course, you understand now, we hope, that Christianity, as it's taught, has a lot of truth in it and has a lot of lies in it because humans got a hold of it and turned it into a power thing. But the truth of it is what's relevant to you, the mystical truth of the light, the Christ light, which is, you could say, a very bright frequency or vibration of love. My death was an opening. It was an activation. It was the next step for me and the next step for you. I keep coming to you because you're stubborn and you won't receive it fully. You're also just not sure. And we understand that from this other place we sit. You're stubborn, but you're also unsure. And we are willing to We are willing to show up as many times as you require it until you will receive. Here's the only thing to be aware of, my love. This is where she's worried about you. We don't want you to have to get sick to wake up. You understand? You don't have to get sick to wake up. You could just receive it. Just say yes. Just be weird. Would you rather be weird or sick? This activation is going to occur. It's part of your path. It's part of your journey. So please don't make me have to watch you suffer in your body anymore. Just receive it. What Katie said before is important. The pain in your heart at the loss of me is the doorway to receiving your activation more fully. Just receive it. Just so much love for you.
I don't have no idea how to receive it. That's the thing.
Okay. How you receive it is right now. Okay. We're going to do it now. And then every time you feel her in your house, you do it again. So you close your eyes, you relax your body, and you feel into your heart, and you feel into your belly, and you feel the places that are resistant to this being real, right? Oh, I'm going crazy. How can this is nuts. You feel into those walls on your heart that say, nah, this is nuts. Can you feel them right now?
Oh my God. They've been heavy for a couple of days.
Okay. And where are they in your body?
In my head, where my brain is one place. It just feels like it's just a lock, like it's a box that's just full and it's just sitting there. And then around my heart,
that's it.
It just feels like indigestion.
Okay. Yes. Good. All right. What I'd like you to do, I hear you. We don't have to hear more words about it. Please feel into the energy of the indigestion right now and feel into the energy of the lockbox in your brain. And just be there with it. Now, I, Wendy, and the angels and the archangels and the first ray of power and the divine light are moving divine Christ light through the box and through the indigestion to open the lock and break the walls. So what you have to do is stay present to the walls and be willing for them to dissolve right now, if you would. You are a much more powerful light worker than you have been anywhere near aware of. Feel the indigestion and the locked box. Visualize, imagine these powerful rays of bright light hitting them and dissolving them. But stay present to, yes, that's it, the discomfort and the walls. They say, you recognized in Katie what had not even fully been activated through her yet. That recognition you saw with her was the light in you, acknowledging the light in her. And the call was loud and strong. That's how light workers operate. They become activated. So Katie's what's called a blue ray. She's here to activate the light workers. She's not here to work with the average individual. She's here to create moments like this for beings like you. She's been through her activation after activation after activation. She spent time with the first ray of power herself. That was Colorado. And now the initiation is complete for her. And so it is that we bring you here today to be activated by the first ray of power into a next level of communion with the divine that will be far beyond what you've experienced so far. When the time is right, you'll come to us again through the portal of Katie or someone else you might meet along the way. But you'll know, and you'll be pulled, and you'll be called. So what's happening in the lockbox now and in the indigestion now?
They're both softening a little bit. I'm having some joy and some sadness tears, and the one in my chest is still pretty tight, and I'm just.
That's good.
I can't see the light hitting it. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so perfect. Thank you. Now take your energetic awareness, your felt sense. Become the tight part. Mm-hmm. That's it. Yeah, stay present to the tight. Now, whatever's happening to the tight place in the chest, go right into the middle of that now. It might have shifted or become something different. Sink into, become, the tightest part of what remains of it. Okay, all the places and spaces that have been cleared so far, the integrated process, we ask that they be filled in with the highest and best frequencies of divine light, Akashic blueprinting that Michael Ray Wisely can now hold. Give me just a moment. Receive, feel in the heart. Whatever you feel is perfectly fine. We're going to talk more in just a second. Okay. All right. And what's happening in the chest now?
I feel lightning. But now I think it's I think it's actually physical things. I think there actually is some indigestion. You know what I mean? All right. There's no more nausea.
Yeah, but indigestion is a symptom. Okay.
I can just tell that I'm going to be exhausted after this.
That's true. Is there any more indigestion?
No, now it's just a tightening in my whole abdomen.
Okay, good. Would you be willing to feel into that for a moment? Okay, here we go. Here we go. That's it. Okay, and what's happening in the abdomen now? Let's sink into any remaining pieces of it that are just not quite entirely light. We'll just be there for just a moment. Yeah. And so it is. Amen. La ilaha illallah is now descended through the full portal of your body, mind, organism. La ilaha illallah says there is no God but God. And this La ilaha illallah, that word, that phrase carries the frequency of the Christ light and the truth of the one, the truth of the one, the light, the way. Amen. Here's the bad news. There's going to be a lot of good news. The bad news is when you try to not be of the light now, it will hurt faster and more. The good news is all you need to do is open your heart, connect to it, call upon it. Oh, light, hey, light, I'm right here, God, whatever words you like from your heart, speak to it, ask for alignment, ask to be shown, ask for what you need to be brought to you, and it will. Ask and it is given, is available for you now. If you ask for something that you want, and it's not actually something that is spiritually aligned, you'll probably get it. And then you'll learn the spiritual lesson associated with getting what you want that is not what's spiritually aligned. If you ask for what you need and what is spiritually correct, you'll get it and tenfold and gifts and blessings and so on. The doors open and the lotus flower of the divine in your life unfolds. That's how powerful you are. So you can pretend you're not powerful and suffer more, or you can own that you're powerful and align your power with that which you need, which is spiritually given, and get all the gifts and all the blessings.
How can you know what that is? That's the thing.
And so it is. Well, you already know, you just don't want to know that you know.
You can't just watch what you want. You can't just want what you want.
You can want what you want. Just watch the outcome of different flavors of want and see the outcome and learn through doing. Remember, God doesn't judge the way your religious books say. It's not going, oh, you chose the want thing. Here's some punishment. Instead, it's just giving you what you ask for and the results that come from what you get. The results that come from what you get are just the results that come from what you get in life. The divine is the energy that says, sure, here you go. And I love you no matter what you choose. Now, when you choose things that you have that inkling inside yourself, this will probably unfold and unfold and open and give to me and to those I serve, then that's what will occur. When you choose something that a part of you says, oh, this is probably a bad idea, then it will be. In the sense that the consequences will be harder to ignore now. That's the gift she's been trying to give you. The consequences will be harder to ignore now is actually a gift because it rights the ship of you. It rights the ship, and it's the rudder on the ship that takes you. You'll know, like a sailor, right? When you turn the rudder this way or that, you know what feels right. You know when the wind is in your sails and when it's not.
Oh yeah, you really know then.
Don't you? Yeah, it's like that. Your life is now the sailboat and your choices are now the rudder and God is the wind.
I am destroyed.
Okay.
Yeah.
No big deal. Just a normal, what day is this, Monday?
I am physically exhausted.
Okay. Yeah, so you'll want a nap. And I'll just leave you with this and we can wrap up here. It's like, remember, the Wendiness of Wendy that shows up in your house, if that continues to occur, is continued blessings and gifts that are trying to be given. So sit down when this occurs, open and say, yes, I feel this tingling. I receive it. What do you want me to know? What's going to happen in those moments is you'll feel indigestion or a wall in your brain or a wall in your heart. Feel into that. Let the tingly hit that. And then when you're tired, stop. It's just more of what we did here, coming through and coming through and coming through.
Yeah. Just so many things, Katie, that have been in my orbit that these things said. You know what I mean? These, I don't even know if I want to be a vessel, for fuck's sake. It just seems like a whole lot of responsibility. You know what I mean?
The thing is, when you're a vessel, okay, it's not responsibility in the way you think of. The thing you're resisting that you're calling responsibility is actually religious dogma. The responsibility, what it is to be a vessel is just you get to be love and help people have more love. That's all. That's all it is. And you get to do theater and have fun and live life and drink tea and hop around the world. And you don't actually have to give anything up that isn't already causing you harm. The things you give up are the things that are already causing you harm anyway. They suck. And you think you get something out of them, but you really just get harm. So when you're a vessel, you're just more and more love, more and more light, more and more freedom, more and more choice, more and more peace. But it's not this like heavy burden of the cross. That's the religion you're resisting, not the light.
Yeah, I guess it's always just seemed to me like it's like, okay, so just a point in case, right? So I find myself getting into relationships with people and I get drawn into I automatically have an inclination to heal them, right?
Sure.
always. Like,
Yes.
and then I just feel like, oh, you're, I never had alcoholism in my family, but I just feel like a 12-step program ready to happen. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
see the hurt and the problems in other people, and automatically just want to. Cassidy said this when he first met me one time. We were playing like Apples to Apples or something. It wasn't first met me. We were doing this show, and I told you about this years ago, Cassidy, where I was in this room and we were playing this game, and there was this other person across from me who I fell in love with. Like, we fell in love at the same time. We just recognized something in each other. It just exploded, and we did not act on it, of course. But Cassidy, some question came up, and it was like something about romance or love or something like that. And there was like 5 or 6 choices or something, and you're supposed to guess what the other person would go. And Cassidy looked straight at me and he went, "It's definitely romantic love." And he just looked right at me whenever he did that. And that's been that and being drawn into other people's orbits and feeling this compulsion, even though it's not going to be good for me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
To somehow help them, and it's like on the contrary, part of my intuition knows that I probably should just listen and not talk.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Here's the deal. When your initiation, you could say, is complete, like when you're ready, you won't be able to fight them off. They will come to you. Notice I didn't call you and say, will you come get initiated by the blue ray of power?
Right.
I'm not attached to whether you heal or activate at all, because I've worked through my codependent enmeshment stuff around, should I save the world? No, I just be the light and do me. I have a podcast. Cassidy talked to you about it. Here you are. That will be you. Is you have that. There's 2 sides to this. So there's the injured side, the traumatized side that says, I got to save and fix and heal. And it's connected to romance, and it's a little sick, and it's your stuff.
Connected to guilt too. It's connected to
guilt and shame and all that. But then there's another side of it that is actually what you're here to be doing. You're going to be being some kind of healer. Hate to break it to you. So all you got to do is work with yourself on your stuff, on the injured part. And then you're going to become more and more of the light part. And then, like flies to shit, they'll just be coming to you. You don't have to go get them.
Right.
They come to you. And when your boundaries are clean, you'll be able to serve them, but not until then.
Right. But I can still live my life and the things I want.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is another thing that's happened while I was doing this. I talked about intention, right? And one of my intentions, I'm just going to pick one, because I sat for a year and I didn't pick one. And then all this magical shit happened to me. And I'm just like, just pick something. So I picked. And so I've been trying to work with what my dialogue is. What's my dialogue? How do I make my words fit perfect? How do I fine tune my words so that whenever I speak this, it has the clearest path to become, right? So, of course, who doesn't want to be on a television series? So I was like, so I got this clear with it. I want to be on an internationally loved television series that has great residuals and internet. I want to be a series regular on something like that. And I just was like, that's what I want. And ever since I did that, ever since I wrote that down and was things have just popped up, just like, here's somebody that possibly could do something like that. Here's somebody who's sent to you to mirror that. Here's, as well as the other side of that, which is all these people going, you got to be in LA. You got to do it like this. This is the way you have to do it. Do you have an agent? I don't have any idea how you're going to do this. And the entire time, and I'm not kidding, like 2 things have happened. One thing is that I have this, like, I've risen above this thing where I'm just looking at it all and I'm like going, no, it's just going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen. I have no idea. And then the other part of that is, and every time I do that, people come out of the woodwork and they go, well, you got to this. That's not the way things happen, But and I hear it, and it just washes over me. It's just like,
Whatever.
yeah, that's just not the way it's going to be. And then the other thing that happens is that the layer that got added onto it recently is it doesn't even matter, right? It doesn't matter the naysaying. It doesn't matter the intention. The intention is going to take me to the place where I'm supposed to be.
That's right.
It's going to happen, right? And I have said it, and it is going to happen. and there's just this, and it's hard to like believe it but you feel it.
Well, yeah, I hear you. So just lean in. Nobody has to understand it but you.
Right. But it's so strange to have that feeling of clarity when every part of your humanness wants to draw to you all the things that tell you it's not going to, or that it won't.
Okay, so it's you get to choose. We have to wrap up now, but you get to choose whether you lean into the humanness or you lean into what you know.
Right. But isn't it interesting that
yes,
and that's one of the things that I think my journey to bring is this, because that's something that happened in that big thing, that big explosion that I told you about of, while I was on psilocybin, but also afterwards. You said powerful being, and that's what it kept saying over and over again. It went, you are fucking incredibly powerful.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You're so powerful. You have no idea how powerful you are.
Right.
Kept doing that, and I'm just like, and then you get further away from it, and it's like,
well, so don't get further away from it anymore. Receive the light when she comes to your house. Most people are begging for anything to come to their house.
The Amazon man.
Something.
All right. I got to close the records now, and it's 3:33. I want to thank, that's Jesus' number. I want to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion, the lords of the records for their point of view, and the Holy Spirit of light for all knowledge and healing. I ask that you return all of Michael Ray Wisely and Wendy Lee McLaughlin Wisely's energy to themselves. I ask that you return them to their complete human wholeness now. The divine portal and the Akashic records of Michael Ray Wisely and Wendy Lee McLaughlin Wisely are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the Akashic records of these two people are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the Akashic records of these two people are now closed. Amen, amen, amen. Shadu la ilaha illallah, shadu anna Muhammad abduhu rasulullah. Amen. And the 3:33, the threes, the frequency of the 3 indicates a time to learn, write, teach, or develop new ideas, collaborate with others, and create win-win situations. It's also the number stamp of the Ascended Masters, particularly multiple 3s, affirming their connection with you now.
Boom. That is a good place to end it.
Almost at 3:33.
So it is. Do your work.
It was 3:33. It is 3:33.
Well, it was 3:33 when I said that. That's what time it was here. We love you, Michael. Thank you for coming. I have to run.
Multiple of 111. Yes, I know. Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything. Thanks.
Bless you all.
We'll see you again. Do your work, everybody.
Michael Ray, do your work. Literally, you got to do your work. That's what we say, and it's true.
Bye.
What are you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you.
Did Katie freeze for you?
He froze.
Oh no, this happens sometimes.
Wow.
Wow, that's trippy.
And crazy.
This happens a lot. Katie will probably say it has to do with some other, the resistance forces.
Right. But
those who are like saying like, I don't want to hear this. For the listeners, I'm trying to call Katie.
This will actually be edited, right?
Some of it. Yeah, this will be edited for sure.
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com.
We'll make her one of us, a loving cup, we accept us, one of us.